Before we begin, let's put our hands together to worship the Exalted One, the Unparalleled One, the Vitaragi, Vitadosi, Vitamohi One, the Tathagata, by chanting the Namaskara 3 times altogether and with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. With the permission from the Samma Sambuddha, the Dhamma and the Mahasangha, let's begin. How was your week? Another week went by. Another 7 days gone by. We've entered February. How much time were you able to use efficiently? How much time were you able to contemplate, to apply the teachings? These are the questions you should be asking yourselves. As your days go by, as days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, the one question we have to always ask ourselves: did I use my time wisely? Because unfortunately, we only go one way. We only take a route one way. There's no going back. There's no reversing. There's no slowing. Just moving one way. And our lives are limited. You know, something that I was thinking about was how funny society is. I mean, we all live and breathe in a society where, we are very almost involved in what other people think. We really care about what others think. In a society that, everyone is doing something. Like I said, time only goes one way. We only go one way. There's no going back. And so everyone is doing something to spend their... When I say time, I don't mean time, I mean life. You, me, your neighbors, the people in a different city, country, continent, we are all doing the same thing, spending our lives. And society will tell you different ways of how to spend that. And so different people would be doing different things, spending their lives. How much of that, like I said, is useful will depend. But majority, how useful or how efficiently are they using their time? And what do we have left? After spending our time, or after spending our lives, what do we take back? What do we take from it all? I mean, what do we take from it? Because at the end of the day, the moment before you fall asleep, technically everything that you've done just goes back or just is stored as a memory. For example, if I was to remind you, what was the most exciting thing you did in 2025? Or what was the most meritorious thing you did in 2025? Then you can say various things. I was able to do this, I was able to go here, do that and this, but that's all now just a memory. I mean, very simply, if I was to ask you to prove that you did something, if you took a photo, that's your only proof, but that's a photo. You could have taken that, just yesterday. But what's left is just a memory. But also, the deeds. The merits you've done, the merits you've accumulated, and the demerits you've accumulated. I mean, we live in a society where, or majority of us, I won't say all of us, because I can't say all of us, because there is a few, living in isolated areas, practicing their path, finding their own salvation. But majority of people, they're just following what others say. They are just doing what they think is right. And now we can all agree to this. Can you make everyone happy? Can you make everyone happy with you? I mean, something very common, especially when you meet, and relatives, right? The first things they'll say is what? When they see you, it's like, you've lost weight. See, if you've lost weight and you try to gain weight, people will start calling you what? Greedy. If you've gained weight and try to lose weight, people think what? You're sick. If you believe you don't look good and when you try to look good, people say you try too hard. If you try to, wear very good clothes, people say, you're being arrogant, you're being stingy. If you wear casual clothes, people call you now poor. If you try too hard, people call you sleazy. If you don't try too hard, people call you ugly. If you talk too much, people call you big-mouthed. If you don't talk at all, people call you, introverted. By themselves. If you act too clever, people say you have a big ego. If you act as though you don't know anything, people say you're stupid. Tell me, how do you satisfy a society? How do you satisfy others? What can you do to make everyone like you? No, we've all been there. We've all done that. You try to do something and someone says something. It's like, I remember every time we came to Sri Lanka to meet relatives, they'll say something. They had to say something, or else it doesn't feel as though they've met you. Either you've gone tall, you've gone short, or you've gained weight, you've lost weight, you've gone darker, you've become lighter. They have to say something because they want to. So what can we do? You work too hard. People say, you're working too hard, and so, relax a bit. If you relax, then they say what? You're lazy. But yet we care. No matter what, we care. We care about what the other person says. Even though we know, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Still, those words hurt. Still those words, we still care about these words. And therefore, when someone says something, although we pretend as we don't care, it feels as though it hurts. It feels as though, there's something there. Because a mind with ignorance will care about every single thing a person says. And so you'll hear people say, people say that, don't care what other people say, you be you. But the question is, then, which one should I be? No matter what, people will always say what? People are what? Imperfect. They've got flaws. They've got problems. And that's what makes us humans. And then you come to the Sasana, and what does Sasana say? You are perfect. Society will always tell you what? You are this, you are that, you're too big, you're too small, you should be like this, you should be like that. And you are not perfect. Try to be perfect. I think many years back, they tried to find what is perfect. So they went around giving a survey, gave surveys to, I think, if I remember correctly, thousands of people to find out what is perfect. What is a perfect person? Now, different people define perfect to be differently. But, they took a survey, they took the majority. So they'll say, this height is perfect, this weight is perfect, this shape is perfect. And they'll come up with, they came up with what is the ideal characteristics of a perfect person, perfect man and a perfect woman. And using the technology they had, they generated a photo of, Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. And so they went round with this picture and said, is this person perfect? What do you think 99% of people said? No. Society will always say that you're imperfect, that there are flaws, there are problems, change yourself. Do this, do that, change yourself. You look, you're too skinny, gain weight. You're too fat, lose weight. But in the Sasana, what does the Sasana say? You are perfect. You are perfect the way you are. Because the way you are is what? The way you are right now is what? Is an effect. The way you are right now is an effect. So you are what? Perfect. I think, living in society and then finally coming to the Sasana understanding that everything is perfect, you come with this big relief thinking, it's okay. There are lots of people come up to me and they say, this is, I'm such a horrible person. I think like this. I behave like this. I get angry sometimes. I'm a horrible person. One day, I was walking past a Buddha statue and I thought, I want to break the statue. What a horrible person am I? But in reality, they are what? Perfect. They are what? Perfect. It's okay. It's okay. See, although, when we talk about Buddhism and Buddhist philosophy, we say being angry, desire, hatred, delusion, these are all poisons, we should get rid of it. Just because it's poison doesn't mean it's a horrible thing. It is something that we have to remove, agreed. But isn't something that is horrible or, how could you? Why are you angry? That's a horrible thing to do. No, it is the way it's supposed to be. If ignorance and attachment is there, then anger should be there. If anger isn't there, then that should be surprising. If there's ignorance, attachment, desire should be there. If it's not there, then that's surprising. But yet we look at ourselves and we say, I'm like this, I'm like that, why am I like this, why am I like that, why do I think like this, why do I think like that? I'm not perfect. But ladies and gentlemen, you are perfect. You are perfect the way you are. Perfect in the sense that when the causes come together, this is what's happened. Accept yourself. Accept what is happening. Because there's no better way than what is happening at this moment. This moment is the most perfect moment. You lost your job. Oh no, what a horrible thing. That moment is also what? Perfect. Try to, do you see how different the mindset is from society to Sasana? Or Sasanic to Arsenic? Do you see how different the mindsets are? One mindset thinks, oh, everything's happening to me, I'm such a horrible person, everything's like this and this and this. And then you come to the Sasana and then you think, it's perfect. I lost my job. Okay. It's perfect. Now, that doesn't mean you just sit there and, everything is perfect, sunshine and rainbows, let's all start prancing around fields. It's not talking about that sort of thing. It's talking about what's happened has happened. That is what's supposed to have happened. Instead of thinking about, okay, what has happened, think about what can happen now. We're not saying that, everything is perfect, the whole world is going to, let's say you don't have enough, you don't have enough money to keep the wolf from the door, and so, you're now frolicking around a field. That's not saying that, what is happening is what is the best thing to happen, but that is what's supposed to happen. It's perfect. When fuel, oxygen, temperature comes together, if there was not a fire, there's an issue. If fuel, oxygen, temperature comes together, and if there is not a fire, then there's an issue. Then there's a problem here. But if there is a fire, should you be surprised? Should you be worried? Should you be scared? No, you should understand. Fuel, oxygen, temperature came together, there's a fire. I don't know, let's say there's some fuel on the floor. Let's say someone spilled some, say something very flammable, let's say something like petrol. Someone spilled petrol on the floor and someone's lighting the Buddhism, the oil lamp. If you stand there thinking, well, fuel, oxygen, temperature, they are all here. And if there is not a fire, then you should at least understand that a fire is going to happen. See, if there is a fire, that is perfect. If there's not a fire, that is perfect. That's not saying if there's a fire here, we should all just stand there and think, oh, this is perfect, let's all enjoy the fire. No, that's saying that you should get a fire extinguisher and extinguish it. We have several now around the monastery. Several meaning, I think, I don't know how many now, 30, 40 fire extinguishers around the monastery. Take one and extinguish the fire, that's your responsibility. But that fire being there is perfect. That's why, Sasanic or Arsenic, what sort of mindset do you have? Do you have a Sasanic mindset or an Arsenic mindset? A mindset where you realize everything to be perfect, or a mindset you think that everything is horrible, everything is going, in a horrible way. Everything's happening to me. Why is everything happening to me? I'm such a horrible person. They're so horrible. Why is this all happening? What sort of mindset do you have? Now, the answer to this question will always be personal. Every single person will have a different answer. Because this is a scale. It's not a 1 or a 0. Without the Dhamma, without this Buddhist philosophy, we are always in this arsenic sort of mindset. But now all of you at least have some sort of understanding. Now you're on a scale. Until you become an arahant, you'll always be on the scale. Because of ignorance and attachment, do you not see things to be perfect? But the moment you become an arahant, then you're in the perfect, you're in the Sasanic mindset. Until then, you're always in this range. That's the thing. Why do we automatically feel this need to fulfill the expectations of society? Because of our arsenic mindset. We are trying to fulfill the expectations and the need of society. They say, let's say, lose or gain some weight, lose some weight, become pretty. You're too pretty now, become ugly. Or work hard, earn money, you're working too hard, take a break. Why listen to that? Instead, come to the Sasanic mindset. Everything's happening the way it's supposed to. So what should I do? I should do the right thing. I should do the right thing. Because in this arsenic mindset, good and bad will vary. In society, if everyone is doing something, unfortunately we follow like sheep and we start doing the same thing. And then become so normal, and then everyone thinks it's okay. Like I remember learning in school that illicit drugs or recreational drugs, they have levels like class A, B, C, and so on and so forth. And then you learn about class A drugs, class B drugs, class C. And I remember my teacher once saying that, if alcohol was found today, it would have been an illegal drug. It would have been an illegal drug. People, police would have to go around searching for any sort of trace of alcohol because it's illegal. I think he said that it will be at least a class B, class C maybe. But unfortunately, society says what? Alcohol? No problem. Just make sure you stay within the limit and it's okay. Because why? It's normal. It's okay. Everyone does it. So, why don't you? It's a very normal thing, especially in various cultures, a very normal thing. I remember, people telling me that, when they enter, universities, one of the first things their lecturers or their mentors will say is, find your limits. How much tolerance you have. Saying what? It's normal. It's okay. You do this, forget about the consequences, enjoy this now and later suffer. See, we follow society like sheep. We don't really think. So, have your own judgment. Do what is right. Do what is good. not what everyone else does, not what other people tell you to do. Do what is right, do what is good. And that's if you think about it, that's what the monastery is made from. The monastery is made from what? What is right? What is good? That's the making. That is the makeup of the monastery. Because why? Everyone here is trying to have what sort of mindset? We go from Arsenic thinking about what other people think about, and we go to this Sasanic mindset thinking, let's do everything that's right and that is good. That's why, if someone was to shout at you, have you gone crazy? Why are you becoming a Sila Shravika Shravika? Why did you become an Anagarika? What's the point of all this? Enjoy your lives, don't waste it like this. What do we think? We did what is right, what is good. Did you go back arguing? Did you go back fighting, thinking, no, I have to prove my point? No. We did what? We did Sasanic. We thought everything is perfect. Let me do the best what I can. Let me do the best I can. So, see, do you follow what other people say? Do you care about what other people say? Do you always try to prove your innocence? Just think about it. Let's say you've been accused of something. I mean, his thing, right? Let's say you've been accused of something that you haven't done. Sir, why did you steal? Madam, why did you steal? How could you? Why should you be worried? If you haven't done it, why should you be worried? Why have you stolen? You say, I haven't. Don't steal next time. Okay, I won't. But don't we feel this urge to say what? I didn't do anything, I'm innocent, I didn't do this, don't think like that. You know how when someone says, let's say your teachers come and say, Ape Mahatya or Ape Mahatmi, try to focus on practicing your path, especially when you're eating food. Do you come to the judgment saying, that means my teacher thinks I'm very greedy. That's why he's telling me to focus on my food. Okay. Why, sorry, Nansa or teacher, I'm not greedy. Do you try to prove your point? Do you try to prove your innocence? I'm not like this. I think you're thinking like this. I'm not like this. Why do you try to prove to another person who you are? If you're given advice, if you're given free advice, then take it. It's free. When you go shopping, they have those free samples. Are you scared? When I take this sample, I have to pay? No, it's free. So you can take it. You can experience it. Okay, that's okay, isn't it? But when someone's giving you advice that you haven't done, why do we feel this? Oh no, they think I've done something horribly wrong. No, I haven't done this. I'm innocent here. Why do we try to prove our innocence? There's no point. You're getting free advice. It's free. Instead, you should be thanking the person. Thank you. Don't steal. Okay, thank you. Why did you steal? If they asked you why, then you can say, well, I haven't. No, you stole. Okay. Don't steal again. Okay, thank you. Because advice is like a treasure. Advice is a treasure. Advice is a treasure that we can use to make ourselves better, either now or later. Or even better, when the opportunity arises, you can use that advice. For example, I can assume that none of us steals. But if you get the advice, so if I tell you, from today onwards, don't steal. Now that advice can be used when the environment is right. So for example, you get to talk to someone who steals. Now, wasn't that advice useful? Then you can say, sir or madam, stealing is not a good thing, and you can now, use that advice where it's needed. You see, this Sasanic mindset is so different from the arsenic mindset of society. The Sasanic mindset is talking about the mindset where everything is okay, where everything you're able to accept anything that comes your way. Something horrible happens. Let's say it starts to rain and there's a leak in the roof. With the arsenic mindset, the first thing you think about is, the builders haven't built the roof properly, there's a leak in the roof, let me call the builders. In the Sasanic mindset, you realize what? What is happening is supposed to happen. Let me put the bucket and let me call the builders to see if they can fix it. One of them is complaining, the other one is what? Accepting. One of them is complaining, the other one is accepting. So what mindset should we have? What is the mindset that we should have? The Sasanic or the Arsenic? The Sasanic mindset or the Arsenic mindset? Let's say you hear terrible news. Let's say you hear the news that as they were building the new Dhamma hall, some part of it fell down. Fell down and it broke a roof. Oh, what horror. And now you're, with the Arsenic mindset, you think, where was the engineer? Why wasn't the builders doing their work properly? Why is this all going wrong? They should be doing it properly. With the Arsenic mindset? Okay. Causes came together that gave a result. Okay. So, let's see what I can do now. Is there something I can do to help? What can I do? Is there something that, how can I help in this situation? Now you have a different mindset. Then pointing the finger to blame, now you're thinking about what I can do. What is the best thing? Or what's the right thing? What's the good thing I can do now? The Sasanic and the Arsenic. The Sasanic mindset and the Arsenic mindset. See, ask yourself, what sort of mindset do you have? See, it's when a problem occurs that you're truly able to see who you are. Because right now, you can already think that, I'm a very calm, relaxed, very laid back. When something happens, I'm okay. But when a problem occurs, that's when the real you comes out. How do you solve that problem? I was given a really good example by one of my fellow monks. And they said, if this cup is full of water, and someone wants to bump into it, no matter even if though you may not see the water inside, when you bump into this, what happens? The water will spill out. When you face a problem, the inner thing, the real you, or when I say the real you, I mean the amount of ignorance and attachment that you have will what? Spill out. That's when you realize you still have a problem. That's when you realize that there's still so much you have to do. So when a problem occurs, that's when you can truly judge your character. See, If there was anger inside, when it bumps into the cup, then anger spills out. If there's compassion inside, when you bump, compassion spills out. See, problems, in the arsenic mindset, problems are horrible. Can I not have problems? Let me find the quickest way to remove my problems. In this arsenic mindset, problems, come. Anything, come. Any sort of problem, come. Why? Because I want to judge what's inside. I want to see what's inside. Like Amadasanayakandra always says, instead of thinking, why me? Why me? Why is it happening to me? Think about, try me. I'm happy to try. Problem occurs, I get to see what's inside my cup. Is it anger? Is it hatred? Is it delusion? Is it compassion? Is it kindness? What's inside my cup? And accordingly, I can do what? I can fight. I can remove. Because as a Sila Shravika, Shravika, as a Sila, as Anagarika, Anagarika, as monks, as devotees, living and breathing in the monastery, the number of problems occurs very little. Not as many as when we were back at home. So, having problems is a blessing. Facing issues is what? A blessing. Every morning you should pray and wish for it. May today I have a problem. May I be able to judge in my inner content. May someone shout at me. May something go wrong. May I not, may a person say something bad about me. So what can I do? I can judge what's inside. I can see what's inside. How much ignorance and attachment I still have. But the arsenic mindset, please can no one see my mistakes? Please can everyone take a step back away from me? Make so no one pokes at me or says anything bad about me. May they just give praise. Praise I don't mind, complaints I don't want. Again, what mindset do you have? The Sasanic or the Arsenic? Do you have the Sasanic mindset or the Arsenic mindset? You are the judge of that. You and only you alone can judge that. How much Sasanic mindset and Arsenic mindset you have. But remember, the more Sasanic you are, the faster your journey is. The more you're able to use what you have to go further. The more arsenic your mindset is, the more you're being pulled back. It's almost like, you can almost think of it like drinking venom and anti-venom. Every time you're Sasanic, you're drinking the anti-venom, curing yourself. Then every time you're arsenic, you're drinking the venom, slowly killing yourself. See, the ball is in your court. The ball is on your side. No one else can choose that for you. No one else can choose your mindset. The mindset is yours. The mindset is yours. You can choose which mindset you have. You can find out which mindset you want and which mindset, because you can't, when I say you choose your mindset, you can't really choose. But you can accumulate the causes for what? The Sasanic mindset. You can accumulate the causes for what? The Sasanic mindset. Because all we have to do is what? Listen, and practice. Practice what? Practice the way that, or practice or see the world as it truly is. See the nature of nature, and then what happens? Then you don't mind. You don't mind what sort of thing comes your way. You're ready, you're prepared. Because nature is what? Perfect. Nature is what? Perfect. Everything in nature happens in the most perfect way. Then what's nature? The sun, the moon, the wind, trees. I mean, you think about it, trees don't care what people think. Technically, trees don't care what other trees think. They just do what? They use their nutrients and grow. You go tell a tree, why are you so tall? You're not bearing enough fruit. You should be bearing more fruit. Not enough coconuts, too much coconuts, not enough mangoes, too much mangoes. Your mangoes are sour, your mangoes are sweet. You go to a mango tree and start complaining. What does a mango tree do? Oh, sorry. Today I'm going to make a very big mango for you. Or, I'm sorry, I'm going to bear more fruit for you. Does the tree care? No, the tree does what it needs to do. What? Grow. Actually, if you think about it, if you go and complain to a tree, the tree uses what? The carbon dioxide that you release from your words, from your mouth, and use that to grow. So you're scolding the tree, and the tree is thinking, oh, thank goodness, I have more food today. Trees don't care. Why do you? Trees are nature, you are nature. Trees are perfect, you are perfect. But yet, our ignorance and attachment does not let us accept that. Our ignorance and attachment does not let us accept that we are part of nature and that is perfect. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, all we have to do, because it's our own mindset that doesn't allow us to understand we are perfect, because you are part of nature. Because you can define nature in various ways, right? Like last week, nature itself is like a Russian doll. You can say nature to be, sun, the moon, and environment. But nature is also what? Every single thing around you, the atoms. Although we say, metal and plastic, these are all, all artificial. Well, those are all part of what as well? Does metal come from, does when you think I want metal, does a block just appear in front of you? No, we have to extract it from where? From nature. To get metal, you have to use a blast furnace. You're using, coal and, all these ingredients which you find in nature. Using heat, which is also what? Nature. To extract iron to make these things. So what is this? It is also part of what? Nature. Plastic. We say plastic is destroying nature, but plastic itself is what? Nature. Because it comes from where? Comes from this earth. That's what I'm saying. If you find plastic on the floor, to not pick it up. Of course, pick it up and recycle it, or put it in its rightful place. But it doesn't mean that that's not part of nature. Plastic is nature. Is water nature? Of course it is. But steam is not nature. But water and steam are the same thing. The only difference is, all right, what is the difference? You remember physics, right? Ice, water, and steam. Difference? Ice, the H2O is the H2O molecules are very close together, with very strong intermolecular bonds or whatnot, which basically means it's very close together. Water, it's further apart. The same thing, further apart, it's now water. The same thing, even further apart, we call that what? Steam. And we say steam is not natural, but water is natural. Ice in cold countries is natural. In other countries, Sri Lanka, ice is not natural. No, it is part of nature. And therefore it's perfect. Let's say we have a chair and then we have a broken chair. Which one is perfect? You have a chair and then you have a broken chair. Which one is perfect? The chair is perfect because we can use it. The broken chair, it's broken, it's been now thrown away. It's not perfect. Yes? Ignorance is a condition. It is kind of part of nature, but that condition makes the mind blinded to its nature. Because ignorance stops us, or ignorance causes. If you think of it like this, there's a river. The river flows. Then a dam is made. That dam is also what? Part of the world. However, the dam is stopping the flow of the river. So, although nature is flowing, is taking its path, ignorance is a condition that stops the mind from accepting nature. And therefore, what happens? When the mind cannot accept nature, then ignorance, attachment, jati, and the cycle reiterates, causing what? Dukkha, domanassa, and the 11 great fires. And because we don't it's almost like it is part of nature, but it's something that stops the mind from accepting nature. So, like that, all we have to do is understand nature. Understand nature. Understand that you are part of nature. Now, when I say you are part of nature, you, the concept of you, is mind-made. But that feeling is part of nature. You, the concept, is not real, isn't nature. Instead, the feeling of you, that's part of nature. So what is nature? What is nature? Nature is very simple. Nature works in what way? Nature works in what way? Nature works when the causes come together. Do we have an effect? Only when the causes come together will there be an effect. And it will only be there for a moment. Causes coming together can only come together for a moment. Only at this moment can causes come together. But yesterday, this pen came together, right? This pen was on this table. So yesterday the cause came together. Yesterday, thanks to your memory, you remember that causes came together. But does the pen know? Does the pen store memory? So what is the history of the pen? Does the pen have history? The pen does not have a history. The pen is something, causes coming together at this moment to give the effect, which we call what? Pen. Now, here's the thing. This pen, how long will this pen be a pen? How long will this pen be a pen? This pen, now take this, so I will explain this, because this pen was never a pen, but a manifestation at this moment. Because that's what makes Buddhism and science different. Science says what? When fuel, oxygen, temperature comes together, we have what? Fire. When we put all the things together and all these atoms together, we have what? Pen. But Buddhism, or the Buddhist philosophy, takes it one step further and says, fire is a manifestation. Meaning, it's there only in that moment. A fire cannot be made. A pen cannot be made. So how long will the pen be a pen? That question cannot be answered. All right, everyone look at your hands. Look at your hand. That hand has been your hand for how long? That hand has been your hand for how long? If you're 30, then 30 years. If 40, then 40 years. If 50, then 50 years. If you're 10, then 10 years. Right? This hand has been your hand for how long? But has it? Has that hand been the same hand that you've had since you were little? Alright, so if you have your hand stretched and then clenched your fist, you feel as though what? Those straight fingers have now clenched. That is what? That is ignorance and attachment. Because really, had the straight fingers become clenched? Did that straight hand become clenched? Or at every moment, it's almost as though you can take a snapshot. There are several snapshots that gets a hand to clench. When the causes come together, an effect happens. An event happens. Then when the causes come together, another event happens. See, energy has the ability to change what? Energy has the ability to change what? Energy is a cause. That's why, you can bend your fingers this way, or you can bend your fingers this way. Both ways, energy is supplied. One of them is internal, the other one is external. Because energy is a cause that can change, the things around you. Although you say that you're picking up a pen, what's actually happening is causes are aligning to give the effect at this moment. And then this moment. And then this moment. And then this moment. So is it the same thing? Is it the same pen that came from here to here? No, every time it's one moment. And a moment at a time. You know, one dot. Oh, you can't see in this side. One dot, right? Second dot, third dot, and fourth dot. These are 4 different dots, right? But if I was to cover 3 of these dots, so these dots, and keep going, you'll feel as though what? You will feel as though what? The dot is moving. Have you not seen those light strips? And it looks as though the light is moving from one end to the other. It looks as though, in cars sometimes, or sometimes, around, festivals, or, these sort of, these light strips. It looks as though the light is moving from one end to the other, and then back and forth and back and forth. But what is really happening? An event happens, and then event happens, event happens, event happens, event happens, event happens. But when we look at it when we look at it, because we don't see the event, we see what? The light is moving from one end to the other. Is that not how TV works? A television works the same way, does it not? Lights are lit in such an arrangement that you see what? A person. And then light turns off, light turns on, light turns off, light turns on. And now you see person is moving from left to right. Is it? Or is it just lights turning on and off? A light turning on. Why? When there's electricity in the circuit, goes through the light, electric energy turns into light energy, and you can perceive it. But yet you think what? The person went from one side of the screen to the other. And then you can change the story, right? And say, the person was going from home to school. And then you can put another person in. But that screen can only do what? The TV can only do one thing and one thing only. What's that? Turn on and turn off. Turn on and turn off. The individual bulbs, and then you have, you got the RGB bulbs and whatnot, but we're not going to go into that sort of level yet. But, what I want for you to realize is, for you to see something on the screen, bulbs turn on and turn off. So is it the same person that goes from left to right and right to left? Is it the same light that goes from one end to the other? It isn't. It never was. It wasn't the same light. So when you clench your fist, is it the same hand that clenched? Every single moment, a different effect arises. A different effect is manifesting, and therefore you see your fingers clench. Is it the same fingers? See, ignorance and attachment does this. Ignorance and attachment makes you feel a story, this fluid, how when we look at a robot and you say, you can feel as though it's a robot. Why is it? Because their movement is very what? Very broken. They move a bit and move a bit more and move a bit more. Or have you seen those, I think they're called jumping spiders? Have you seen those small spiders that look like machines, that walk, that move around like in a very mechanical sort of way, like those small spiders? If you haven't seen one, don't worry. There's tons around Sri Lanka, as well as tons around the monastery as well. Just look around and you'll see these small machine-like spiders. The reason why we say it's machine-like is why? Because their actions are very broken. They move as though they are, they move one side to the other, and it feels as though it's machine-like. Why don't we feel our actions to be machine-like? Because our actions are so fluid. They are so fluid. Because, if you look, as, our monastery, they have these constructions, and you see these sort of excavators and whatnot. You can look at it and you can say that that's a machine. Why? Because their movement is very broken. It's lifting up, then moving, then dropping, then turning left, turning right. But for a human, we don't see that, even though we work the same way. Why? For an excavator to work, it's also what? Causes coming together to give rise to a single movement. For an excavator, you've got the hydraulics and whatnot, the hydraulic pump and the pistons and all that stuff. But for a human, we've got, blood, we've got veins, we've got muscles, we've got glucose, we've got all these things. Again, is a machine, but the difference is our movement is so more fluid. Therefore, it's very quick. We're very quick to judge and say, oh, that's human. That's a being. That's a thing. That's not the same. But in reality, your bodies, although you think them to be unique, separate, different, not part of nature. I'm separate, I am different, I am me. Your so-called me body is a machine. Is a machine that works entirely due to what? Cause and effect. A machine that works entirely due to what? Cause and effect. You have no control over it. You have no control over it. However, every time you look in the mirror, you see who? That is me. That is my body. But your body is a machine that is completely and utterly cause and effect. See, what makes us humans so different to animals? What makes humans so different to animals? Well, one thing is we walk on 2 feet. Animals walk on 4, 6, 8, and more. Right? We have a certain size, certain features. That's what makes us human, right? That's what makes us human. Our body is what makes us human, right? Well, what's the difference between your body and an animal's body? Let's take, let's be nice. Let's say a human and let's take our so-called closest primate. Let's take a chimpanzee. What makes us so different from a chimpanzee? If I was to, have you and a chimpanzee, why do you say that I am a different person to this chimpanzee? Now, let's say you're there, we got a chimpanzee there, we have a rabbit here, and then we have a slug. Why do you think I am different to those. This body, I am human, that's a slug. I am not a slug. But if we were to actually think about it, and if we were to break down who you are, this body that you believe to be yours, to be you, that makes you feel as though you are human, if we were to break that down, you and the chimpanzee, well, you grew up eating what? Food. Fruits, rice, carbohydrates, fibers and minerals and whatnot. The chimpanzee, we ate human food and chimpanzee ate chimpanzee food. So, human became human, chimpanzee became chimpanzee. If we swap the two foods around, you become chimpanzee, they become human. You eat banana, chimpanzee eats banana. Do you become chimpanzee or does the chimpanzee become you? Neither. Because that food is what? The molecular buildup of you. You are what you eat. From everything that you've eaten since, or everything that you have consumed since you were little have contributed to this very moment of the person you are today. Because then you can say, well, no, because I look like this because of my mom and dad, and their DNA and whatnot. DNA is made from what? They're like, your parents have, your ancestors passed down like a separate storage of human DNA, but they say, if I remember correctly, humans share 96% of their DNA with what? With what? With bananas. If I'm not mistaken. We share most of our DNA with what? Bananas. Now, but yet I am a human and a banana is a banana, chimpanzee a chimpanzee, a rabbit's a rabbit and a slug is a slug. I am different to all this, but yet each and every one of them are doing the same thing. They are all consuming. And their body is using what they consume to make parts make cells or make proteins, tissues, cells, organ systems that makes a body. A body is what? The coming together of causes. As long as the causes come together, there'll be a body. But I am not like a slug. Okay, chimpanzee, they say, we are closest primate, and so, we look very similar to chimpanzees. However, a slug, I am not a slug. The humans are not like slugs. However, the same thing, is it not? If we took, your molecules apart, you're made from majority what? Majority carbon atoms. Carbon, nitrogens, oxygens, hydrogens, and you can break yourself down into all these molecules. All these atoms, and you can build using your so-called your atoms. You could build what? A slug. So what makes you different from an animal? Rabbits are furry, slugs are slimy, but fur and slime are made from nature, and so are you. So what is the most superior species? Homo sapiens was superior. We were able to beat the Homo Neanderthals, the Homo erectus, and therefore we're the superior species. Right? No. You are the causes coming together at this very moment. At this moment, the causes come together to give rise to this effect. Let's say, something terrible happens. Let's say, we go into a lab of a mad scientist and we put 1, 2, 3, and 4, all animals plus you. You're not an animal. according to what you feel, into the same thing, and we turn up the heat. In the end, there'll be a puddle of matter. Can you break it apart and say, this is human matter, and this is slug matter, and this is rabbit matter, and this is chimpanzee matter? No, it would just be matter. But yeah, we feel that I am separate, I am different from an animal. Okay, fine. Body could be the same, but what's different? The mind is different. I think differently. I think differently, therefore I am different to an animal. The reason why we don't see ourselves to be, see ourselves to be animals is because we have this physical form. Because your mind, sorry, not your mind, but the mind, doesn't your mind also have animalistic ways as well? Doesn't it? Doesn't your mind work the same way as an animal? Let's say you do something. Right? Let's say you do something with a. See, I don't know the English words for these things, right? Because still I'm looking for these words, or like a mindset that is balu, or that is how would you explain this? This inferior or this brutal or this beast-like mindset. I will look this week for a good word for that. I don't think what I've said is enough for that. But let's say you have that mindset. Then you and a dog, difference? You and an animal, difference? The same. All right. A dog gets angry and is fighting with a dog. A man gets angry, is fighting with a man. Difference? Difference? The dog's behaving like a dog and the man's behaving like what? A man. The mind at that moment, both minds are the what? Same. At that moment, both minds are the same. So you feeling so superior, but yet the mind will become a dog at one moment. Will become, will change, can become a preta at that moment. Your mind can become at a single moment, say you have a massive desire for something, then your mind becomes a preta. All that needs to happen is the body needs to no longer, be able to work, and the next moment you wake, the next moment the eyes open, you see yourself as a what? As a preta. So what makes you superior to, others? What makes you feel superior to animals? What makes you feel superior to, your fellow human beings when everything around you is the same? The only difference that a human mind has compared to an animal is the ability to take in new views. That's the only difference a human has to an animal. Humans and the Sugati beings, these are so-called heavenly beings. The only difference is they are able to take in new views. For example, a dog will always have that sort of dog mindset. You'll never see a dog, acting human-like. But humans can act like dogs. Anytime they want, they can act like dogs. You can see it very often. You see people fighting so often, right? Humans can act like dogs. But dogs can't act like dogs. Dogs can't act like humans. Dogs can't take in new views, whereas humans can take in lots of views. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Any views. But when the mind arises with anger, and the dog arises with anger, both minds are the same. So who's superior? Who's inferior? I've lived in this earth for 80 years. I demand respect. 80 years of what? The body or the mind? The body is made at that moment, the mind is made at that moment. 80 years of what? "80 years of dreams." 80 years of dreams. Because, your memory is like a dream, isn't it? Your memories are like a dream. So if you feel that, I am the elder, I demand respect, where I have to have respect, where does that come from? I am so-and-so, you have to call me like this. That comes from where? That comes from the ignorance attachment, creating what? Creating this feeling of what? Me. I am special. I am unique. I am different to everyone. That's why people cannot be, that's why if we took a system, there will be lots of people who can't follow a system. Because why? I am unique. I can't be the same as others. I have to be a bit different. Stand out. Be me. Because why? I am what? I am a feeling. A feeling made by what? Ignorance and attachment. So what we have to realize is that you and me and everything around us is what? Coming together according to cause and effect. Only when the causes come together do we have that effect. Have that effect at what moment? At this moment. Just like this light lights up and then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. You are also what? A moment at a time that gives rise to this. So here's the question. Are you listening to me speak? Am I speaking to you? What is really happening? Think about it. What is really happening? Think about it. Open your eyes to reality. Open your eyes to reality. Because the only thing that we can do is what? Only thing, your noble association, the Mahasangha, your Kalyan Mitra can do two things. And only two things. They can do only two things. Number one, they can show you the truth. Number two, They can tell you to see the truth. But they can't make you see the truth. I think there's a beautiful example that we got told the other day. The Dhamma is like an engine. The more we understand it, the faster, the cleaner, the more efficient this engine will run. However, if any of you have driven like a manual car, however, we've always been pressing the clutch. No matter how fast the engine is moving, if the clutch is stepped on, the car will not move. So, your Kalyanamita can do only two things. Can help you with the engine and tell you to do what? Let go of the clutch. Then what will happen? The car will go. The car will go anyway. You can't control the car. Contemplation will happen. You can't control that. But all you can do is what? Let go of this clutch. Engage. As it was very beautifully said, engage. Engage with the engine. Engage with the Dhamma. Engage with the reality. And contemplation will happen. That's the hardest part. Sitting down and listening to Dhamma is easy. Being told what you have to do is easy. What is difficult is what? Letting go of that clutch and engaging with the engine. Seeing the world as it is. That's different. That's difficult. Sit in front of any monks. We got now how many? 200 something monks. We've got 70 something anagarikas. We've got 200 something anagarikas or 100 something anagarikas. We can get everyone to sit here and still tell you the same thing. They can only do two things though. They can fix the engine, make it run cleaner, efficient. If there's any wobbles and whatnot, they can fix that. And they can tell you to let go of the clutch, but they cannot let go of the clutch for you. You have to engage. You have to practice. You have to see. If not, well, you have the world's best engine. However, you have a V8 engine, you got a monster-like engine. However, the car is going nowhere. Because why? It let go of the clutch. So practice. See, take this time and practice. Like we said last week, whenever you consume a meal, practice. I hope you're still doing that. Try to find every moment you possibly can to engage, to see the world, to contemplate. Remember, contemplation is not about thinking about Dhamma. So, this is saying, you shouldn't be in the valley mode thinking, okay, abhisankara, like what is abhisankara? We have to find out the inside the abhisankara. But then I've also heard the word vattapane. What is this vattapane? I have to go ask my teacher. That's not contemplation. That's looking for the Dhamma. Contemplation is using the Dhamma to see. The application, engaging the engine and the wheels, letting go of the clutch. So usually, contemplation, are you thinking, okay, how does this process work? Do that. Understand. See if you, understand what you've understood. That's okay. But contemplation is using what you know in your life. So not thinking, but seeing. Not thinking, but seeing. That is contemplation. That's what we have to do. See the world with the lenses of Dhamma. See the world as it truly is. Because we're not trying to, trick ourselves. This is not a TV, this is an elephant. What is this? An elephant. Elephant. You can do that and you can actually start seeing an elephant here. But that will require a lot of what? A lot of time, a lot of effort to finally see this to be an elephant. But what are we saying? We're not saying this is an elephant. We're saying this is what? See this as it truly is. What you are seeing now is false. This is what is real. What is what's really happening? See as it truly is. Not that this is an elephant, but this is what? Causes come together to give rise to effect. See it as it truly is. So open your eyes and look around. See everything that's happening around you. Because when is it happening? It's happening at this moment. You hear a bird crying. What should you be seeing? That the cause are coming together at this moment to give rise to that sound. At what moment? This moment. Live life. Live life seeing reality. And escape. Remove your ignorance and attachment and live freely. And don't forget to do as much merits as possible. I think at the end of every sermon, don't worry, as almost like a tradition, as like a religiously, I'll tell you the same thing. Remember to do as many merits as possible. Make sure every day is you end the day looking at the highlights of your day, the merits highlights. I don't know if you're doing this, but trust me, I do it every time. Before I go to bed, I look through my daily highlights. To see all the merits I've done through a day. If you don't do it, start. Just look through all the good things you've done that day, all the great things that happened that day. And you'll fall asleep with a mind bubbling with glee. Right. Let's take a few moments to transfer merits and conclude today's session. Let's take a moment to transfer the merits we've acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, chanting Pirith, listen Dharma, and engaging in various meritorious deeds today. So first and foremost, let's remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt of Lord Buddha's teachings. And with immense gratitude, let's chant for the merits of the Bhikshu Bhikshunis, Upasakas, who since time immemorial have protected and preserved the sublime teaching of the Buddha and passed it down to the generation of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, to understand, to comprehend Dhamma. So stigma and chants of merits we require to all the members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including all of the chief pillars of all the chapters, who have dedicated their lives to the noble path and committed themselves to the betterment of all sentient beings. Let's not forget, among them will be the monks and nuns residing in local temples and nunneries, who have always been by your side, to thick and thin, come rain or shine. There's also stigma and chants of merits to Guru Sananse, as well as other monks at the monastery, as well as anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let's take a moment to transfer merits and express our gratitude to those who made great efforts to disseminate the teaching of the Buddha, be that by translating sermons, sharing them out others, inviting others to join them. May the power of the merits, if any of them have been born in the willful planes, may they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May by the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits to the merits we require to our devotees, friends of the monastery, for sake of merits, continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes every one of you who have contributed to the construction of the monastery, to those of you who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, or medicines, as well as those who pass in their know-how, extend their well wishes. May the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's all take a moment to transfer merit to our mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, and nieces, our elders, friends and acquaintances, employees, and to all those who've helped us, supported us, assisted us in shape or form. By the power of these merits, may they be healed of any physical or mental ailments. May they overcome any obstacles in their spiritual progress. May they abstain from meritorious deeds. Fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Exalting Mount Transcendence to the Devas, Brahmas, spirits, demons, Paramsakadevas was demons, gods, and deities who committed to protect and fulfill the Sambuddhasasana. Exalting Mount Transcendence to God and deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May the power of the merits, may they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from meritorious deeds. Fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It's also take Mount Transcendence to our ancestors who have predeceased us, to all those who have been friends of family to us in long journey samsara. To all those who have helped us, supported us, it's also anyone they could, take Mount Transfer these merits. There's also Mount Transfer the merits to all the members of the armed forces, as well as the police force, who have sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. May all those lost life in the world be the friend of foe. Rejoice in the merits of quiet today. It's also take a moment chance to all those lost life in calamities such as tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides, pandemics, reminding ourselves among them will be those who have been friends of family to us in the long journey to samsara. Let's take a moment chance to them. May the power of the merits, if any have been born in the willful planes, may they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May by the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble footpath, and attain supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, let's all resolve, may the power and blessing of all the merits acquired throughout the day, we be to witness the event of many hundreds of thousands of Arhat nuances, Arhat Mahin nuances in this blessed land. And finally, may the power of all the merits acquired throughout the day, may you and I and everyone who made this program a success become an Arhat nuance or Arhat Mahin nuance in this very life in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Chupachen be with you all. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginen midetva, dvesha ginen midetva, moha ginen midetva, Nibbāna parama sukhayin, sukita taravitva. Nibbāna parama sukhayin, sukita taravitva. Mamada siyalu loka, siyalu satvayo. Nibbāna parama sukhayin, sukita taravitva. Nibbāna parama sukhayin, sukita taravitva. Nibbāna parama sukhayin, sukita taravitva. Raga ghini niveva, dvesha ghini niveva, moha ghini niveva, nivan sapa labeva, nivan sapa labeva, nivan sapa labeva. Tunnonge Suvisananta Mahagunabili, see Loka Sil Satyom, Nibbāna Parama Sukhayin, Sukitara.